I would like to take a moment to talk about the concept of prayer. And the way I translate prayer isn't necessarily a religious concept, it's very spiritual, but in reality, aren't we all spiritual? I like to think of prayer as wishful thinking with intention. And you're not necessarily speaking to God or whatever you believe the source to be, but you're speaking to the entire universe and having your intentions and wishes reflected back to you, hopefully, right? So prayer can be so many different things. It can be from having a subconscious thought of what you really desire, or it could be outwardly speaking it with your hands together. It could be prayer beads, just repeating a mantra or a prayer over and over. It could be a community thing where you're in a church together and you are praying for a specific deity or about a problem. Prayer can be in song and dance. It can be in art forms. Wishful thinking is really hoping for something to manifest, right? Whether it be an object or peace and love or unity. So prayer tends to have this religious connotation to it, where we think you must be praying to God or whatever you call your God, your source. And this can really be a turnoff for a lot of people. Even I, growing up, thought prayer was a bunch of BS. I thought, what's wishful thinking really going to do? It's all about the actions you put forth. But growing up, and especially in the last 4 or 5 years, I've come to realize that there are miracles happening all over the world, and they can't really be explained. But you hear stories of people who are praying, and doesn't matter what their specific religion is or spiritual practice, but it is pretty obvious to me, at least, that when you do have wishful thinking toward a specific goal, and you do it with a pure intention, that it can manifest, that it does, there's like magic in it, and it's inexplicable because so many miracles have occurred, and you will hear that from every different religion, that people have had miracles happen to them, and it's because of this belief in the universe, really. It's about having faith in the universe that this can and will happen for you. And maybe we'll be driven to pray about something because we understand that if we do, it just might happen. I know that just last week I found myself on my hands and knees praying to my source, my particular view of the universe. Everyone's got a totally different perspective about what that source is and the power it holds and the force behind it. No one really knows what the source of the universe is, yet we understand there's this deep connection to it, and that if we know how to communicate with the universe, not that we understand what's going on or what that force is, but that we have faith and trust in the process of putting our intentions and wishes out there to the universe, then we know that not all the time, but in many cases, our wishes get reflected back and we do manifest the reality of them. So it's interesting to think a simple thought. It could be a thought, it could be a vocalization, it could be really anything with that wishful thinking and intention behind it. It can move mountains. And my prayer last week did come true. And I felt this very strange pull to do it. I almost felt it was undeniably necessary. And it could just be the placebo effect, right? Where something happens and we think, oh, it's because we did that. And there might be no correlation whatsoever, but there's always the possibility that there is a correlation. And the thing is, you will never know what may have or may have not happened if you had not prayed or had not put that intention forth in the way that you did. So we can talk about the placebo effect all we want, but the funny thing is, the catch-22 of this is that you don't know what would have happened if you had done things a different way. So is it better to then just have faith and trust in the prayer? Trust in the wishful thinking to the universe? Trust in your intentions? Is it just better to do it? Where would our world be without prayer, without all the multitude of ways that people have prayed over billions of years? Where would we be? You gotta wonder. And we'll never know. But we know that we're here now, and that many, many people have prayed, right? In all their different ways, we've been praying throughout our entire existence. So why should we stop? Why shouldn't we continue to persevere with our prayer and believe that there is something very powerful and very deep in the core of our existence that does have the kind of magic within it to manifest our deepest and most wonderful and beautiful desires? I mean, is it better to have no faith at all in anything at all, or to trust that there's something very, very potent and very connected to us that is listening? And are we listening too? Are we listening to our own hearts and our own desires? Because once we start doing that, you'd be amazed what will transpire from that. The universe always transpires to connect you to what you're truly desiring. And it doesn't always happen that way. I have to make that clear. Like, it's not that all prayers are answered and that only good things happen to people, because that's definitely not the case, right? I mean, good and bad are a duality we create in our minds, but I mean, pretty bad things can happen to people, and we know this because we're all experiencing tons and tons of pain throughout our lives in different ways. So we can pray for our healing. We can pray to not manifest pain, but ultimately, you know, we still have choice in this very controlled reality, and anything can happen. But if you pay attention and you see that miracles do happen and that people's prayers do get answered, ironically, miraculously, you know, you can trust that it couldn't hurt. It could probably never hurt to put your faith into a prayer. In whatever way you deem necessary, put your faith and belief into the magic of prayer.